Hello friends and welcome back to Digitalk. So as we know that the latest version of WebLogic, which is 15.1.1, okay, which has been released recently, or you can say the couple of months back around in October 2025, right, which is the latest release of WebLogic server. And before that, the previous version is 14.1.1, which was also released not so long back, but around somewhere around in December 2024. Right. But as of now, most of the client you will see that are on 12.2.14 release or maybe on 14.1.1 release. Okay. And now they are planning to upgrade to 14.1.2 or 15.1.1. Okay. And there are a lot of questions like, so if we are on 12.2.14, okay, and should we go to the 14.1.1 or we can migrate directly to 14.1.2 or should we go for the 15.1.1 version? What is the difference between? So now because these two release has been released, okay, these two versions has been released in a very short interval, okay. So generally we do not see such kind of a major release of the software in such a short window, okay. So there are certain reasons for that one, and what are the reasons for that I am going to explain in this video. Okay, what is the reason why this 15.1.1 has been released shortly, okay, specifically in comparison with the 14.1.2. Okay, what is the reason for that? And what is the major difference between 14.1.2 and 15.1.1? So if you are on 12.2.14 or maybe on 14.1.1 or maybe even on the earlier versions like 10 versions or 11 versions or some or older versions of 12 and you are planning to upgrade, okay? So there is a specific upgrade path. You cannot directly upgrade to the latest version. Depend on your current version. You have to first upgrade to the supported version and then you can go for the latest version. So there is a specific upgrade matrix for that. Okay. So I am going to cover everything in this single session where you will understand the complete upgrade path of your WebLogic server, irrespective of whatever the version that you are using currently. Okay. And then why you should go for 14.1.2 or 15.1.1. Okay. Or there would be a question like, should we go for 15.1.1 directly or should we go for 14.1.2? And because there is a major difference in the 14.1.2 and 15.1.1. Okay. So I'm going to clear every details in this single session. Right. So before that, let me tell you some overview of the WebLogic server versions. Okay. So initially, when the WebLogic was released, it was in 1995 by the BEA systems. Okay. And then at that time, the initial 1.0 version was released, and then later in 2008, Oracle acquired the BEA systems. Okay. And at that time, the version of the WebLogic was 10. Okay. It was around 10 version of WebLogic when the Oracle acquired the BEA systems. Okay. After that, there are multiple releases that has been there, okay, for the WebLogic server like 10GR3, which is 10.3.0 version, which was released in August 2008. Then we have the multiple versions of 11G, okay. So the 11G versions are there till the 10.3.6, okay. So the last 11G version of your WebLogic was 10.3.6, which was released somewhere in 2012. Okay, and then 12C versions was released. So 12C means 12C R1. So first release of 12C R1 was 12.1.1. Okay, so this R1 release is specific to the second digit after the 12. So 12.1 means the 12C R1. Okay, so we have three versions of 12C R1 release: 12.1.1, 12.1.2, and 12.1.3. Right. After that, it was again changed to the release 2, and then the new versions came in 2015 was 12.2.10. And then we have the some other multiple versions of 12CR2 release of WebLogic server, which is the till 12.2.14. So most of the client, okay, are on the 12.2.14 release as of today. This one currently, which was released in 2019. Okay, and then after 2019, there is a release of 14.1.1, which was released around in 2020. Okay, and you can see here after 20, there is a release which is 14.1.2, which is released in 2024, and then the latest release of WebLogic 15.1.1, 15C, which is released in October 2025. Right. So this is just the specifications of the WebLogic versions. Okay. This is very important to understand because if you are going for an upgrade, then you should aware about what are the different versions of WebLogic. And there would be a questions on if you are going to face some interviews, you may get some questions on the WebLogic versions as well. Okay. So if you have a complete clarity on this one, then you can able to explain it properly. So this is the very first thing about the WebLogic versions. Now come to WebLogic upgrade path. Okay. Now when you are going to upgrade the WebLogic, it depends on in which version you are currently, and based on that you can define your metrics. Okay, how you go for the upgrade. Okay, so now we know that the latest version is 14.1.2 or 15.1.1. Okay, and the previous latest versions is 12.2.14 and 14.1.1. So these are the two stages, okay, where you may plan for the upgrade. So if you are on 12.2.14 and 14.1.1, then you may be planning for to upgrade 14.1.2 or 15.1.1, or even if you are on the older versions, you may be planning to upgrade the latest versions, but the path is bit different. Now, what is the path for that? So if you are on any of the WebLogic version which is less than 10.3.1, okay, that means older than 10.3.1. So if I go here, if I show you the older than 10.3.1, so here we have the 10.3.0 release. Okay, and before 10.3.0 release, we have the multiple versions for the WebLogic 9, 8, and then some older versions like 9.2, 9.1 as well. So if you are on any of the version which is less than 10.3.1, okay, so that means you have a two-step upgrade. That means first upgrade to 10.3.6. That means you have to first upgrade WebLogic to 10.3.6, and once it is upgraded to 10.3.6, then you can upgrade to the 12.2.1.4 or 14.1.1 version. Okay, this is the condition if you are on any version which is prior to 10.3.1 versions. Okay, now if you are on the versions 10.3x, that means later than 10.3x. Either 10.3x means 10.3.6 or later than that. That means here. If you are on 10.3.6 or any versions after that, that means if you are on any of the other versions. Okay, that means from here 10.3.6 to 12.2.1.3 onwards. So if you are on any of these versions, okay, then you can directly upgrade to 12.2.1.4 or 14.1.1, right? So that means it's very simple. If you are in the prior versions of the 10.3.1 like 10.3.0 or the WebLogic 9 versions, so first you have to upgrade it to the 10.3.6 because this is the baseline for the 12c upgrade. Your WebLogic server should be on the 10.3.6 version. Okay, and if you are on the latest versions now, let me come to the second point. Okay, now if you're planning to upgrade to 14.1.2 or 15.1.1, okay, then you should be on the latest release. Latest release means either you should be on the 12.2.1.4 release or 14.1.1 release. These two are the baselines if you want to upgrade your WebLogic server to 14.1.2 or 15.1.1. Right, so if you are not on 12.2.1.4 or 14.1.1, if you are planning to upgrade to 14.1.2 or 15.1.1, then there is a two-step upgrade. First, you have to upgrade to 12.2.1.4 or either 14.1.1. The best approach is you can go for 12.2.1.4. No need to go for 14.1.1 because both are supported. Right, so if you are any of the older versions of the 12.2.1.4, like if you are on 12.2.1.3, 12.2.1.2, 12.2.1.1, something like that, you can upgrade to 12.2.1.4, and once you are in the supported version, then you can go for the 14.1.2 and 15.1.1. Okay, but now the important point, when you are planning to upgrade to 14.1.2 and 15.1.1, there, as I said, there are multiple changes, but there is a one big major change. Okay, because of that, you have to change your applications. Okay, so till 14.1.2, you don't need to change your applications. Whatever the application, mostly you are running on the previous versions like 12.2.1.4, 14.1.1. Every application, most of the time, 99% going to work perfectly till 14.1.2. Okay, there would be a certain places where you need to change if you are using some depreciated APIs or some depreciated code, then you may need to change, but 99% you don't need to change your code. Okay, but if you are planning to upgrade to 15.1.1 version, okay, then there would be a major change required in your applications. Now, what are the major change and what is the reason for that one? And that is the reason for the release of 15.1.1 as well in a very short interval of 14.1.2. And what is that? That is the support of Jakarta Enterprise Edition 8 and Jakarta Enterprise Edition 9.1. Okay, that means whatever the application that we design or develop for which we deploy in the WebLogic server, it is based on some specifications, Java Enterprise specifications. Okay, so now till 14.1.2, okay, which is released in 2024 October around, okay, it support the Jakarta Enterprise Edition 8, okay, which is also referred as Java Enterprise Edition 8. Okay, so earlier this Java Enterprise Edition owned by the Oracle, and then long back they have given it to the Eclipse. Okay, now it is open source. So now this completely owned by the open source Eclipse. So once it is owned by the Eclipse, okay, so they have renamed this Java Enterprise Edition or Java EE8 to Jakarta. So now this Java EE is referred as Jakarta from the 8 onwards. Okay, so now 12 till 14.1.2 version of the WebLogic, the supported enterprise edition of the Jakarta, or for you can say Java as well, okay, is 8. Okay, that means whatever the application that you deploy or you develop in to deploy on the WebLogic server, it is based on the Jakarta Enterprise Edition 8. Okay, but now 15.1.1 support the Jakarta 9.1. Okay, so that means 15.1.1 is supporting Jakarta 9.1, which is, as I said, is released somewhere around in it's not 2021, it is 2025. Okay, so this 15.1.1 supporting the Jakarta. Okay, oh sorry, let me change it. So this release date is of Jakarta. Okay, so this 15.1.1 WebLogic release around in October 2025, 14.1.2 release in October 2024. But this till 14.1.2 of the WebLogic server, it supports Jakarta Enterprise Edition 8. Okay, so this Jakarta Enterprise Edition 8 was released around in September 2019. Okay, and now 15.1.1 is supporting the Jakarta 9.1, and again this Jakarta 9.1 was released around in May 2021, so it is still old. Okay, still the WebLogic 15.1.1 is supporting Jakarta 9.1, which is released around in May 2021. And now if I talk about the 2026, okay, so we have few more versions of the Jakarta. So latest one is 11. So after 9.1, as far as I know, we have Jakarta Enterprise Edition 10 and Jakarta Enterprise Edition 11. Okay, so that means your WebLogic in terms of the Jakarta specification still is on 9.1, which is released in 2021. And now we are in 2026. Okay, and here we have a Jakarta 11, which was released in 2024. That means it is still behind the latest editions of the Jakarta. So what I am suspecting, there would be a latest release which is going to be released again soon. Okay, just because to support the latest Jakarta Enterprise Edition. So as I said, in the 2026 we have the Jakarta 11. It may be possible that we may have the latest editions of Jakarta in some next couple of days or in a month of a time. Okay, so to in compliance with that, we would get a latest release of WebLogic server just because of supporting the Jakarta Enterprise editions, latest Jakarta Enterprise editions. Okay, so the overall difference is completely you can say the difference based on the your Enterprise edition specifications. Okay, and why what is the reason or what is the purpose of this Jakarta Enterprise Edition is that whenever, as I said, whenever we develop the applications, okay, we use the multiple frameworks like the Spring framework is there. Okay, so every framework also had the latest versions. So if you are going to use the latest support, latest frameworks like the latest Spring Boot, okay, for developing the application, which support the Jakarta 11 or maybe Jakarta 10 or maybe Jakarta 9.1. So those application, whatever you will develop in the latest frameworks, you will not able to deploy in the up to 14.1.2 version because it support the Jakarta Enterprise Edition 8. Right, and that's the reason because now the frameworks are getting changed. Okay, and now the new Jakarta specifications are in place. So if you are developing the applications, your developers are developing the applications in Jakarta which support the Jakarta 11 or maybe Jakarta 10 or maybe Jakarta 9.1. Okay, so if you are going to deploy those applications up to the 14.1.2 version, it will not be supported. You have to change your code because it support only the Jakarta 8. Okay, and now what exactly is the major change in your code? If we have been talking about so far about the different editions of the Jakarta or Java Enterprise Edition, right? So what is the major change in the code that you have to do? Okay, so if you are going to upgrade your WebLogic server to 15.1.1, okay, then you have to keep in mind your 15.1.1 support the Jakarta 9.1, and for this 9.1, okay, there is a major change in the code. And what is the change? The change is up to the Jakarta 8, okay, which is supported by till 14.1.2. Okay, the namespace for API packages that is used by the developer in the code is Java X.star. But from the Jakarta 9 onwards, it has been changed to Jakarta.star. Okay, that means wherever in your code you are using the Java X.star as a namespace, you have to change your code everywhere. You need to change this Java X.star to Jakarta.star. This is the major change that you have to do in your code. Okay, if you are planning to upgrade to 15.11. Okay, so this is one of the example of the code. Okay, so this is one of the small code of the Java. So if you can see here, okay, when we are importing the namespace for API packages, okay, so we are giving Java X dot, right? So this Java X dot need to change to Jakarta here. And this is a major change in your code that is required because your 15.11 support the Jakarta 9.1, and from Jakarta 9 onwards, this namespace which is java.x has been changed to the Jakarta. Right. So now, hope it is clear to you. If you're planning to upgrade your WebLogic server and you are confused about if you need to change your application or code or not, okay. So till 14.11, you may need to change your code at some places for the depreciated APIs, okay, but not for this particular namespace. This namespace change in your code is only required if you are going to upgrade your WebLogic server to 15.1.1 version. So this is the major change in the 15.11 current versions. Okay, and that is the reason this region has this version has been released in a very short duration, because up to 14.12 version of WebLogic it support only Jakarta Enterprise Edition 8. Right. So to comply with the latest Enterprise Editions development specifications, okay, this has been released 15.11 to support the Jakarta 9.1, and this you can see in the documentation as well. So if I show you the documentation, so this is the documentation for 14.12. You can see here Oracle WebLogic support 14.12 provides Jakarta Enterprise Edition 8 full platform support. Okay, where supported Java standard edition is 17 and 21. So that means you can see Jakarta 8.8. But if you see this 15.11 documentation, you will clearly see it fully compatible with the Jakarta Enterprise Edition 9.1. Okay, that means if you are going for 15.11 upgrade, everywhere in your code, wherever you are using the Java X namespace, you have to change it to the Jakarta. But if you are upgrading your applications or WebLogic till 14.12 versions, then this particular change is not required. There would be some other changes required in your code because there are a lot of APIs that has been depreciated. Okay, so you may need to change your code at some places. Okay, but not this particular one, right? So now it is, I hope it is clear to you why this the WebLogic Server 15.11 has been released within a short period of a time. What is the upgrade path? If you're planning to upgrade your WebLogic server to some specific versions, then based on your current WebLogic version, you have to plan for your upgrade. Okay, and if you're planning to upgrade to 14.12 or 15.11, then what are the major changes that is required in your code? Okay, before you go for the upgrade. Okay, so if you need this document, you can write to us at digitalk.fmw@gmail.com. Okay, we will send this document to you as well. Thank you.